Hey guys, so another thing I'm working on my S2000 in the off season here. It's a pretty slow winter because I have a baby now, and all the work I wanted to do to overhaul this car with a roll bar and clutch job and everything. And all the parts I installed last winter was a lot more intense, so check out those videos if you haven't yet on my channel for all those DIYs. But today, kind of a little bit more of a massaging the car for the next season. I'm doing a couple things like, for instance, adding a USB power outlet in the front of the car. If you'll know, if you have an S2000, everyone knows that there's only one power socket. Back in 1999, I didn't really standardize and all the crazy stuff they do now, and the USB wasn't really much of a thing in cars back then, so all you had was the one 12-volt accessory outlet in between the seats. And if you drive the car at all, you'll know putting wires and cables coming out of there hits your elbow, and it's absolutely horrible ergonomically. So I'm working on putting some in the front of the car. What this is over here, this is a kit from Amazon. It was like $12 for two of these. So it basically comes with the two USB ports in this thing. It's got like a rubber gasket that you can pull up and seal it if you want to, and close it off. Two terminals in the back, positive negative DC circuit, super simple. And they give you like 40 inches of wire with a fuse built in the center. I'm not a huge fan of that just because the way I'm wiring in the car, I'm using these. I got these on Amazon as well, ATA circuits. That's how I did all the gauges and stuff for the SI when I did the wiring for that and whatnot. So they're very easy to use to add any kind of power tap to the fuse box underneath where your driver's side is. So I'm going to be adding tapping into 12 volts for that, running the wires, drilling a hole for this USB outlet here, and giving myself two more power outlets for the car with much nicer routing. So this here is the USB outlet. There's tons of these on Amazon. There's tons to choose from. I got a 2-pack of these, and there was like $12, like I said, and you'll see a ton of different results in there. This is all plastic. However, if I were to do it again, I'd probably get an all-metal one and search for those. I kind of just looked for USB power outlet and bought the first thing I saw, but had good reviews, this one as well. So I'll leave this link in the description, but there's tons of them on there if you just search USB car power outlet or something. So it's got a retaining ring. It's got a threaded body here. The OD of this thread is an 1.1 OD diameter, so that's the hole saw you're going to need. This kit didn't include a hole saw. I ended up buying one off Amazon for like $3, and but there are some kits on there that you can buy these with the hole saw, so you don't have to make two transactions like I did. So definitely consider that when buying one of these, but it seems like they're all industry standard, pretty much 1.1 thread here. So you'll see all you got to do is run positive negative to this. So as you can see here, you got this rubber shield. You don't have to install this. You can pull this off the threads if you want to just install it without the thing, so that when you have stuff plugged into it, you don't got this thing flapping around. But you can change your mind later, because once you install this, it's definitely not permanent. But you can see here I have a 5-volt USB power for 1 amp and 2.1 amps. So you'll see here, this is the ATA circuit for the USB power outlet. And you'll see that there's the ground. I haven't hooked up the ground yet. I'm going to hook it probably to the hood release because I got very short on cable. The cable they include for the ground at least maxes out pretty much when I'm pulling it over to the ground. So you might need more than 40 inches of cable, honestly. But you'll see I have it nicely zip-tied, routed underneath here. Finding a spot to put this, I went back and forth a lot with in my head of, debating on where I wanted to drill a hole in the interior, because it's kind of a permanent thing, even though you can buy these panels pretty readily available, probably on eBay, or I'm sure they're not too much money if you do want to get a second one to drill instead of drilling your original one. But basically I pulled the radio out and everything so you could see inside this cavity, routed the wires, the positive and negative wire behind the radio all the way to the passenger side, and I plan to install it in the passenger side panel of this here. Alright, so this is my passenger side here. You'll see I have the leads zip tied to this little spot here just so I didn't pull them out and back through the radio when I was pulling those leads to run the power and ground over there. But what I kind of did was I took this panel off and I decided to put it in the side of this panel. So ideally, when this is installed up like that, your USB outlet's going to be right here, out of view of the driver. Passenger will definitely see them and be accessible to them when they're riding in the car. Maybe something they'll have to watch out to do not kick with their feet if there's something's plugged into it, or you'll snap the cable. But overall in the S2000, I couldn't really find a nice flat-ish surface anywhere else that wouldn't look kind of ridiculous with installing this. You have all the heater controls down here. You can't drill through this because that's the fan box and stuff. So you don't want to, definitely don't want to mess with that. While I was in here, I wired up an aux for my radio. You'll see that I have an aftermarket head unit. I have the Modify unit, so the factory controls work on the dash to change the song and the volume and stuff. You'll see I have the Modify unit zip tied up there. And while I was in there, this is a radio that came with my car. I haven't really invested in a Bluetooth one or decided to rewire it and change it, but I found a nice flat aux cable that plugs in the front, because that's the only aux input on this unit, and that cable runs underneath and it eventually comes out right here, so that with the USB power and the aux outlet here, I could buy one of those cheap Bluetooth USB powered receivers that just outputs it to aux, so that I could have Bluetooth and hands-free calling and everything in this car pretty easily and very easy to remove. A microphone obviously would have to be stuck somewhere a little more accessible and better for the voice, but you'll see that this is a nice spot to do it, because if you drill your hole right, the idea is to have the unit for the USB power go back into this hole, and it's kind of got a narrow window to work with here. So I kind of measured from a spot from here over before the panel was back on, and then I put this back on and measured it again. You'll see I already started my hole there. Hopefully I got it right, because now I'm going to hit it with the hole saw, bring it out to 1 1/8 diameter. Bam. Okay, so no going back now. There's my hole for my USB, and I probably should have checked the actual, hit some calipers on that hole saw before I actually drilled the hole, because I never verified it was actually 1 1/8. But let's take our USB, like a glove. There you go. So you can kind of close it up, and that's how it's going to look in there. Hopefully we go to fit it in the car right now, and the back side of this lines up right with that cavity I just showed you. One thing that I got really lucky on is these ribs on the injection molded part here. I didn't account for the backing rings. You'll see I can't really tighten the backing ring with those knobs that stick out onto the hexes. So I actually got really lucky to where it wedged itself in there, and I just tightened this from the front, and just tightened it as much as I could to get it lined up in the right orientation so it didn't look goofy in the car. Alright, so here you'll see I left a little extra wire here so I could actually put the terminals on and then push this back and then pull it out and uninstall this pretty easily if I want to change the unit if it fails or anything else. You know, I can always change this to a metal one or something a little cleaner. And actually, I've seen on Amazon they make some of these with 3 USBs on them, pretty packed in there, but they actually make some too that have a screen on them that read the battery voltage out, which seemed a little excessive for me. I don't want really this to be noticeable. It does have this light here that's going to light up when it has power, but most of the time I'm probably going to keep it plugged off so that you don't really see it. The idea is I'll be able to run a very short USB cable from here to my phone with the Modify unit, because my phone dies pretty quick when running lap timer apps at the track, or just you can charge, you know, when you're between sessions at the track, or, you know, as a daily driver even, this would be a huge upgrade. You could run a Bluetooth receiver powered off this, powered to aux in your head unit if you have an aftermarket head unit, or just, you know, you could charge your GoPro down here, you can do whatever and leave it there. Maybe stick your GoPro in this net, and you can leave it charging when you're on track if you have 2 batteries or something, and you'll never have to use this outlet again that gets in the way of your arm and shifting and everything, and makes the car look pretty ugly in my opinion to have wires coming out of that thing. So pretty happy with this, and we'll go ahead and, as you can see, I got my hole pretty correct there to the fact where I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in here, and you'll see the 2 tabs pop in, USB's there, and there's this 1 screw here. And there you go. You got your USB outlet right there. Plug it up, and that's how it looks from this angle in the S2000. Alright, so last step here when you splice in the ADA circuit is to pretty much choose which fuse you want to tap into here. So I don't know, it really doesn't matter, because what you want to do is whatever fuse is in this existing spot, you pull it out and put it in the first slot in the ADA circuit, And then the added circuit kit I bought came with a bunch of 15 amp fuses. So the second one and the one on top you stack on the added circuit is the fuse for your accessory outlet. So I just chose the washer motor, which is the second one down here in the top left. And that's something I really never use on the car, which is why I chose it. So as you can see in here, I have the added circuit right there, plugged in right below the 7.5 amp fuse. And it's got two 15 amps in it, one for the washer motor and then the other one for the USB outlet. So that's plugged in. My ground is connected to the hood latch, as you can see right there. So the way I have this wired in is I used a test light just to verify that the washer motor does not have power when the car is off. You can wire this one of two ways. You can have the USB outlet having power with no keys in the car, or you can have it just get power when your key is in the car, turn to the second ignition spot. So that's what I chose to do, just so there was no drains on the battery when the car is off, and I didn't forget to unplug a GoPro or something charging. Not saying that that would drain the battery of the car completely, but this car just sit a lot. So you see here when I turn the key, put the key in, and turn it 2 clicks, power instantly comes on to the USB outlet, confirms I've wired everything correctly, and turn it off. You'll see the power goes off, on, off. So that's a successful job. Another quick look at it here. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it came out good. Doesn't look ghetto or anything in there. Kind of looks like it should have been there from the factory. Thanks guys for watching. Subscribe, leave a like and a comment, and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.